Zach, it's so nice to see you. And Brilliant Minds is such a great show. We're so excited at GLAAD. And I know there's a lot to come, but I just want to talk to you. With this show, I think obviously we turn on television to be entertained, to feel something, for an escape. But I would imagine, because this is such an interesting story, that you have a hope that audiences also take away something else from this. So I would love for you to chat about that, because it is so many layers of things with this one.
It is a lot of layers. I appreciate you recognizing that, and thanks for saying that. I've always said that if audiences see themselves in our stories, then we're doing our job. So no matter what perspective they might be coming from, my hope is that we're able to include a variety of narratives in the stories that we're telling and include authentic representation. That's something that's, I think, really interesting to me and also to Michael Grassi, our showrunner, and it's something that motivates us as we're making the show.
Yeah, and I think that, you can honestly say that you are not a doctor, but you play one on TV now, which I know you're very excited about. So good. But I also love that this doctor, and we'll talk about Oliver Sacks too, but this doctor just happens to be a queer doctor, but it's a part of his story, but it's not, the headline. But it does, I would imagine, speaking on representation, it's got to be pretty amazing for you and feel good to kind of be bringing this story to television, since you are a part of the community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to be the first to play the first openly gay doctor lead of a network medical drama, primetime network medical drama is an honor. I mean, it's a distinction that I can't ignore. But I think that the significance of it is that for the character, his identity, his orientation is only one aspect of who he is and what we explore of his psyche on the show. And so I love the fact that it's not the centered issue, right? It's an ancillary issue. It's something that comes in and informs his life in different ways, the way that anyone's identity would. So I think that's the significance of it, right? It's significant because it's insignificant, actually. And I think that's a testament to the progress we've made culturally as a society. And I think it's a testament to the kinds of stories that we're able to tell now that maybe we weren't able to tell in the same way 15 years ago, 10 years ago. And that's gratifying and that's exciting. And I shout out to NBC and our partners for wanting to tell these stories and bring these stories to the mainstream.
I love that. Network TV, it has such a tremendous impact. I think about people that are just going to turn it on because it sounds like a really great medical show, which we all love. And then, they're going to get to know someone who's a part of the community, which is great. Oliver Sacks now was a real person. This is based on, inspired by this. I actually did not know a lot about Oliver Sacks. I did a big dive, obviously, into it recently. How familiar were you with him and his story? Because it is a fascinating one.
An incredible man. I knew who he was, but I wasn't all that familiar with him. I hadn't read any of his writing. I had seen Awakenings, the film that was based on his book of the same name, with Robin Williams and Robert De Niro, directed by Penny Marshall, which still holds up, by the way. It's an excellent film. I didn't know how influential he was on the field of neurology. I didn't know how unconventional he was in his methods. I learned a great deal about him through this experience and developed a deep respect and affinity for him. And I'm only sorry that I didn't get a chance to meet him while he was still alive.
Yeah, I know. It's such a fascinating person. Before I let you go, I was thinking, of course, Dr. Wolf, it's fictional, these storylines, but I do think watching it, I think it does make people so hyper aware of mental health and different situations that people can go through. What was it like for you, kind of being a part of this and then kind of relating it to just real life mental health?
I'm a huge mental health advocate. I have been in therapy myself for over 20 years. I feel like for me, this has connected me to the vital importance of mental health and mental health care. And one of the things that it's really focused my attention on is how can we make mental health care more accessible for people. I've been really fortunate to have the resources to cultivate that aspect of my experience. Not everyone is in a similar position, and so that's something that I find really valuable and important to look at is, what can we do? How can we continue to humanize, destigmatize normalize and include conversations about mental health in more consistent ways within our families and our communities and our friend groups. And I think our show, maybe in its own small way, is hopefully able to encourage at least the conversations. You know, if somebody watches an episode of our show and turns it off and turns to their family member or spouse or friend that they're watching the show with, and they're able to have a conversation about their own experience because of what they've just seen, then you take the entertainment value of the project and you move it into a sphere of maybe a little bit more substance and a little bit more meaning for audiences. And I think that really is the sweet spot, and one that we're gently aiming for. Obviously, I don't have any control over how things are received or how people respond to things. I just know the intention with which things are made. And the joy of doing a first season show is that we got to make the whole season in that bubble of with each other, and that was our intention. So hopefully that comes across. I'm just really enjoying this part of the process, which is sharing it with people and inviting people in. And hoping that they both enjoy what they're seeing and also are given something to think about.
That's definitely happening. It's definitely how I felt watching it. But Zach, so nice to see you. And just a reminder, everyone, Brilliant Minds, new episodes Mondays at 10 on NBC. And like he said, there's a lot of exciting and interesting stories to come still. So.
And streaming Tuesdays on Peacock.
That's right. Don't forget about Peacock. We love Peacock.